Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. We're now getting...
सुरक्षा के संदर्भ में वो सीबीआई के जरिए सूचनाएं आती और जाती हैं, तो बहुत अहम है। दुनिया भर की सिक्योरिटी के लिए इंटरपोल के बीच इस तरह का समन्वय और इस विशेष खासतौर से इसको इस बार भारत में आयोजित किया जा रहा है। इसके पीछे बात ये भी है कि 2019 में जब गृह मंत्री ने इंटरपोल के महासचिव से जो उनकी बातचीत हुई थी, उसमें उन्होंने न्योता दिया था और उन्होंने कहा था कि जो आजादी का अमृत काल चल रहा है, इस दौरान अगर भारत में इसका आयोजन किया जाए तो ये एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण आयोजन होगा। और इंटरपोल ने भारत के आग्रह को, भारत का जो प्रस्ताव था उसको स्वीकार करते हुए इस बार इसको...
And my colleague Arunima is also now joining us on the broadcast. Arunima, talk to us about the significance of the visuals that we're seeing on our screens.
The Prime Minister, after arriving at the venue, met the office bearers of the Interpol, the President, who's from the UAE, as well as the Secretary General, German Stock, who's present even right now as the Prime Minister is talking to the office bearers of Interpol. Just a few minutes ago, he was snapped, he was photographed with all the Executive Committee members, and Home Minister Amit Shah is also present there. So in a short while, he's expected at the plenary hall, where the delegates are all waiting for him. There will be the national anthem as well as the Interpol anthem, post which the proceedings for the day will begin. So right now, the informal interaction between the Prime Minister and the office bearers of the Interpol is on. He's just shaking hands with the President, who, like I said, comes from the United Arab Emirates.
Right. And I believe this is taking place after 25 years in the country. And you spoke, I believe, to the Secretary General as well, Arunima. What were the key takeaways?
Yes, and as we speak, I think the Prime Minister is just inaugurating the General Assembly. He's just cutting the ribbon and throwing this convention open officially. This is a big event for India. It's happening only the second time in the history of independent India, first time in the last 25 years. And we are told by former CBI Director Rishi Kumar Shukla, in whose leadership the decision was taken to allow India to host this. He told us that it was the Prime Minister's idea that since this is India's 75th year of independence, which is being celebrated, India should make a bid to host this Interpol General Assembly. Initially, it was United Kingdom which wanted to host this, but then when India threw its hat in the ring, we successfully managed to get the hosting right. It's also significant because this is also a rare occasion when we have a member from the Central Bureau of Investigation, Mr. Praveen Sinha, who's effectively the number 2 in CBI, who's part of that top decision-making body of the Interpol. He was one of those delegates who was present when the Prime Minister and the Home Minister clicked the photograph with the office bearers. He's currently looking at a small exhibition where all the details about Interpol's functioning, how it has developed, all of that is being showcased in the presence of our Director of CBI, Mr. Jaiswal, as well as Interpol office bearers. Just to give you some insight as to why this is significant, Interpol is an organization which has 195 members, which is even more than the number of delegates or the number of member countries that the United Nations has. And it has managed to survive for 100 years. Next year will be the centenary year for the Interpol. So even in world history, no other organization has that kind of legacy, not even United Nations, which was preceded by the League of Nations. So that is the backdrop, and in that backdrop, this event is being showcased as a marquee event by the Interpol's India wing, which is the Central Bureau of Investigation. As far as diplomacy is concerned, even in that sense, this is being showcased as a diplomatic achievement, because this is coming just ahead of India's G20 presidency. So these are two big international multilateral events that India is hosting back-to-back, trying to tell the world that we are ready to host multilateral events and to showcase what India has to offer, be it international police cooperation or be it the world of diplomacy.
Correct. So, Arunima, just taking on from what you were saying as far as who all are in attendance, we can already see visuals of the Home Minister and the Prime Minister with other dignitaries. But if I understand this correctly, you have in attendance delegations from about 195 Interpol member countries. You have ministers, police chiefs, heads of national center bureaus. Could you give us more details of the delegations in attendance?
Yes, there are 195 countries which are represented. At least 20 countries have come here with ministerial level delegations. Interesting delegates whom India's specific interest would be for Pakistan. There is a 2-member delegation from Pakistan, which is here. There is also a delegation from Russia. There is a delegation from Ukraine, even though they're sitting in separate corners of the hall. All eyes are on them as well. Because Jürgen Stock actually told me in that interview that at the General Assembly in New Delhi, as it is happening, there have been demands raised to take action against Russia for the Russia-Ukraine war. That has been on the table. That's what Mr. Stock told me in that exclusive conversation. So as the day proceeds from here on, as the deliberations begin, what action, if at all, can we take against Russia is something that will be deliberated. That's why all eyes on Russia and Ukraine. Jürgen Stock has been very clear that the Interpol Constitution makes no provision to throw out any member. And he also said that if you take that kind of action, you're essentially creating a black hole which the criminals can exploit, especially in this day and age when cybercrime is global in nature. Any black hole that you create where international police cooperation is thwarted for political reasons, that will lead to problems. So that was his view. Whether the delegates here agree or not, that is something to watch out for. And as I said, Pakistani delegation is here. So it's of special interest to India. All Indian police organizations, including the National Investigation Agency, which looks at all terror cases, will be keen to have perhaps a one-on-one with the Pakistani counterparts. There are some requests for bilateral, bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the multilateral arrangements and multilateral talks that are going on here.
Right. So taking on from what you were saying, as far as India's specific interest is concerned with the Pakistan delegation, I believe it's a 2-member delegation, Arunima, and any details as far as a bilateral?
So we do know that the Pakistani delegation is here, and some of the countries with whom India has requested for bilateral. One is United Kingdom. Why United Kingdom is because there are so many economic, fugitives of law who have sought solace in United Kingdom. Some names which automatically come to your mind are the Nirav Modis and the Vijay Mallya's, and we've not managed to get them back to India yet. So perhaps Indian police organizations would want a one-on-one with United Kingdom on that count. Pakistan, like I said, is always a country of interest for us because from Dawood Ibrahim right up to Masood Azhar, there are a lot of terrorists whom India wants and who are there. So at every platform possible, Interpol is just one platform, but at every platform possible, India tries to press on that issue. Also Canada, that's another country which has emerged as a country of interest for India because of the Khalistani movement that is going on. We just saw how in the Seek for Justice matter, Gurpatwant Singh Pannoon managed to evade that red corner notice that India had requested that Interpol issues. That hasn't come. Again, in my conversation with Jürgen Stock, he said that, we don't get into matters which seem political, military, racial, religious in nature. That was the ground that was given to reject India's request for RCN against Gurpatwant Singh Pannoon. He, in fact, in propaganda videos is citing that interview to show that things are in his favor. But NIA is, planning to go in for appeal as far as that case is concerned. So that's another country, like I said, Canada, which is a country of interest for a bilateral for India.
Right, so there are several key issues that are going to come up as far as this Interpol General Assembly is concerned, and all eyes will be on the Prime Minister, who is going to be addressing the gathering shortly. Do stay on with me, Arunima. Let's also take a look at some of the conversations that we've had with the people who are at the helm of affairs as far as this event goes.